Hello, all you art fans, and thank you so much for tuning in to Keep Art It. I'm Doug, and I have the unique and fantastic pleasure of interviewing Deanna Rodger, who is a world-famous poet, writer, creative facilitator, and overall amazing human being. So you're in for a treat today. Stay tuned. If you like this content, click that subscribe button. We appreciate it. We need your support. You're the ones who allow this to keep happening. So really, thank you so much for tuning in, and stay with us for some amazing talks about art, creativity, poetry, writing, and the whole process.
Parenting.
And parenting. Deanna, welcome to the studio.
It's marvelous to be here.
It is marvelous to be here. She picked all these paintings to hang.
I did. Aren't they beautiful? I really like them. But I saw your space before, the big massive one where it was kind of way more gallery-esque. And actually I prefer this space. I like the texture of creation and kind of the smaller, intimate kind of grab this thing over here, less curated. So I really like this space.
This space is much more of a studio. The other space was a display space, gallery. Performance space. We did yoga classes in there. It was a different vibe. Yeah, I did free yoga classes for ages.
Man, I missed out on that. Where was it?
They'll come back. So a high likelihood that I will be offering free yoga classes through Keep Art It at a new space in the galleries, hopefully before the end of the year.
Great.
But it's not confirmed yet. So,
Great.
But welcome to Keep Art It. So for those of you who don't know, I would say the coolest thing I've seen about you is that Serena Williams read one of your poems for National Women's Day, right?
Yeah, International Women's
Day.
Shout
out the greatest tennis player of all time, Serena Williams.
It was mind-blowing.
Mad respect, yeah.
The funny thing about that is that I didn't know.
Really?
Yeah, so I didn't know. And actually, I had a commission coming out with FIFA on that day. So I was really excited about this FIFA State of Passion commission coming out, which is awesome. They pulled together this whole storyboard. The team was wicked to work with. And so it was just kind of promoting that. And then someone tweeted me and was like, Serena Williams has read your poem. And I was like, no, it's FIFA. And then I checked it out. And I'd read it. So
that must have been so
cool.
surreal.
It was totally surreal. It was so, I think my mouth was just agape. You know, where you're just like...
Did she pay you for it?
No.
Oh!
No.
Didn't ask you permission, didn't pay you. Just the exposure's there, but it's an interesting one.
It is interesting.
From an artist's perspective.
It really is.
Because that's a bit of a violation in many respects.
Well, and it did make me kind of think about contracting more. And so it was BBC Sport that I'd written the reimagined If for.
Yeah.
And so I think in that contract, they must have just retained rights. Ooh. And I'm not gonna
you don't know the contract.
No, well, I should actually go back over and read it, but I'm not gonna turn up and be like, Serena Williams can't read this, ever.
It's an interesting one because I know the ins and outs.
No, I still wouldn't.
And I probably wouldn't either if someone used one of my paintings.
Because it's written,
it's there, it's already out in the world.
It would have been nice to be part of that conversation, to be able to, also for me to be able to prepare for it so that I could really capitalize on that moment.
And share it more and market it and have it be a bigger deal than...
the anticipation. And so that's where I was like, oh man, actually knowing about these things coming out is important so that we can somehow get a kind of scheduling together or whatever we do on our social media.
To be fair, she's not a marketer, she's a tennis player.
Yeah.
And she's the great, like I said, that's not her job. But she never has to think about that because she's such a good tennis player that other people do that for her.
But also it's not her, it's the teams.
Yeah, someone probably handed that to her.
But what's amazing is that she's not going to read anything she doesn't love.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I mean? Or respect.
Yeah.
And that, literally I'm going to be telling my great grandkids about this.
It's great.
Yeah.
Well, or something better that happens next.
No, that's definitely up there. Because when I was writing that poem...
I don't know, life is long and full of wonder.
I know. But that's definitely still up there. But when I was writing that poem, originally I was thinking about Serena Williams. I've grown up...
Unbelievable.
...knowing who Serena and Venus were, and not necessarily being that into tennis, but just knowing that these were icons and inspirations and kind of North Star people who, and so I was thinking about cultivating that energy and tapping into to that idea that anything's possible if you want it hard enough. And so it was, it's amazing.
So tell me about your route into poetry.
My route.
Yeah. Everybody's got a different journey.
Yeah.
And especially in the arts.
Yeah.
It's
mine's quite straightforward though, I think.
Let's hear it.
I went to a workshop. I guess the most kind of weird thing is that I didn't want to go to the workshop. I was just going to support a friend who wanted to go. And she thought it was a rap workshop, but it was a performance poetry workshop. And so, but I think the moment was, and I hope everyone in the world gets to experience this, but when you watch something and you're like, it just makes sense. And I could feel these things kind of clicking into my head. And literally it felt like it had dropped down into like, what's that, your pineal gland or something, do you know what I mean? And right into the crown chakra, poof. Like, I want to do that.
And how old were you?
I was 17.
Okay. So pretty big deal. Was it through the school or did you go independently?
No, it was at this theatre called Lyric Hammersmith.
Okay.
And I grew up in Fulham. And I'd... like something in me always wanted to go into the Lyric Hammersmith.
Shout out Fulham. No, I don't know why.
Shout out Southwest 6. What was it? Southwest Princess or something? I don't know.
Hopefully, maybe somebody from there will see this someday.
They will. I'll share it with all my Fulham crew. I guess like at 17, there was like this massive surge in knife crime. And this kind of, it felt like there were lots of narratives being touted by the media about what teenagers do, like teenage mums, or if you wore hoodies, or if you hung out, or if you're a certain colour, like there's all, it just felt quite overwhelming in a way that I think kind of every teenager feels like the world is against them at some point. But that was a real kind of push of why I started writing poetry, of what I was writing about and trying to make sense of, and so I think trying this chaos of a world and these decisions that are made by people hundreds of years ago around land or around laws and stuff, that getting crystallized in this kind of 17-year-old's notebook, and then being, because it was a performance poetry workshop, it was really about how you perform the work. And the tutors are incredible. They're still incredible poets, Atta and Joseph Coelho. And like, they're doing incredible things in terms of poetry and pushing that and welcoming people more into it. And so I was just one of the lucky participants to meet them both in real life and be able to spend time with them and learn from them and also be supported and encouraged and believed in by them, which I think was really important.
You must have had an aptitude as well, though.
Yeah, I took to it like
aptitude, not attitude, aptitude.
Yeah, I had an attitude and an aptitude.
Yeah, I mean, but you need both.
Yeah.
You need to have the talent and the drive.
Yeah.
You know, you can't have one without the other. You know,
my attitude might have been questionable.
So how's your attitude changed?
And this was one of the scariest things about discovering poetry was I felt like I had like the sheath of anger, and that was my weapon, that was my defense, it was my shield, it was my tool, it was my superpower. And then you start writing poetry and you start making sense of why you feel certain ways, and then it starts to like dissolve. And I remember being super spooked and being like, but what do I do when I'm upset? Like, if I can't punch a wall, what I write? Like, what does that mean? But actually, it led me to writing some of my most powerful poems that still are, like, move people to this day, all these years later. And I think, it was that synthesis of this anger and this fury and this sense of injustice being pulled into words. And for some reason, just having this thing inside me that knew how to feel the words, so the words had to feel right. And so
there's one of my favorite quotes about poetry, and I can't remember who said it, forgive me, it might have been Maya Angelou or something like that, but it's one of my favorite quotes is, I don't write down words, I feel the ribbons of inspiration as they're flowing through the air, and when I feel it moving through me, I take that inspiration and put it on a notebook. And if I don't have a notebook to hand, it will fly through the air until it finds another ready poet. And I love that imagery of like, it's kind of just, there's this thing just going cruising around, and it kind of comes and hits you. And if you're ready and you're available and willing and capable, it will hit you. It's an interesting one, how that phrase out. I've actually, as I've gotten older, somewhat turned away from it. Not turned away from, but I've been more willing to sit on inspiration. And
what do you mean sit on it? That
so
sounds,
when I was...
Sounds cruel.
Well, when I was younger...
Stand up, free the inspiration.
When I was... when I was younger, I would... If something hit me, I would be like, I need to go get that down on canvas, or I need to go write that down now. As I've gotten older, my belief has shifted to, if something hits me, if it is right for me, not just right, it will be there when I arrive at the canvas or when I arrive at the paper.
That's interesting.
So I have more faith in that interaction of the right ribbon hitting me, and if it's right for me, not just right as a inspiration in a broad sense, but right for me as an inspiration, it will still be with me when I am ready to execute it.
Okay. I think...
So, because I still get those moments, you know, but I tend to not, unless I'm sitting there with a piece of paper or paintbrush at hand, I will let it sit with me instead of trying to go capture it.
Do you have a good memory?
No.
I pretend clapped.
So some of you who follow the show know that we occasionally have technical issues here at Keep Ardent. And we're back though. Pay no attention to those weird edits. I believe we were talking about...
all in.
Nobody wants to see me talking about... we were talking about my memory and how terrible it is.
Talking about memories, talking about bike punchers and small children.
Well, bike punchers was in between. I'm probably going to edit that out. But so interestingly, so one of the joys I've had that's been an unexpected pleasure of being a parent is actually that some of the other parents I've met are fucking awesome people.
I know.
Fucking epically.
Cool,
and it's like, you are just tossed in with these people who are having this shared experience of children of the same age and have actually a huge amount in common because of that. And you're out of your echo chamber in a profound way.
Yeah. Oh my God, yeah.
You're out of your... Because these are people from all different walks of life who've all chosen to have children. And then we have a huge amount in common. But then we have huge amounts of difference as well. And it's actually been a really fun thing. So the reason I mentioned that is because Deanna and her partner have two children who are the exact same age as my two children, and they go to the same nursery. And her daughter, her younger daughter, and my daughter are like
besties.
BFF.
Like literally.
That's shocking.
That's how I get Asha into nursery. Millicent's gonna be there.
Oh my
I don't
God.
know if you know
No, Millicent was on one of the shows.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. She was on one of our... So Natasha was sick. I was supposed to be going to do a shoot because it was in Open Studios. And Ted was at a friend's house, but I had to take Millicent with me. So Millicent was there, and like it's the worst cinematography I've ever done. And someone was like, "Oh, your camera was so shaky." It's like, yeah, I was watching a 2-year-old. Like I was what do you want me to say? Like I was watching a 2-year-old. It's not gonna be the best cinematography I've ever done. You know?
I've picked the kid for the occasion. Like, I'm literally like, which one is gonna be?
They were
best
terrible. They were terrible at the art of it.
Oh my God!
I took. So some of you might have seen. I put up on a Keep Ardent the highlight reel from RWA. But I went with Millicent, Asha, and my son as well. And Asha and Millicent were literally taking their shirts off in the gallery.
Oh, one didn't say that.
Oh yeah, they both were going around topless around 60,000-pound sculptures playing tackling. And I'm just like, what are you doing? Like, stop it. No. It's not okay.
Tackle him.
Well, there was a point too where there was a sculpture on the ground.
Yeah, because that's where you should put a sculpture in the public.
It was on a flat circle plinth about 6 inches high, so about that tall off the ground. the sculpture itself was
it paper? No.
golden brambles.
Oh.
So it was literally like, spiky blueberry bush brambles covered in 24 karat gold.
Wow.
It was cool.
Yeah,
but I was like, I see these girls running around, tackling each other around these brambles on the ground. I'm just like, no. There could go wrong on so many levels.
Yeah, we were like, I'd be on Lloyd's just checking my account to be like, could I cover this? No.
Definitely not. I mean, to be fair, they'll have insurance if that kind of thing happens for public liability and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I mean, it would not be a good situation.
Yeah.
It would
like
be
a handwritten letter of apology.
It would be
needed. Maybe a handprint from the kid, or maybe not.
It is what it is. It is what it is. It would be what it. Thankfully, that didn't happen.
No.
But yeah. Anyway, that's one of the joys of parenting has been. But for me, also one of the joys of parenting is it's really shifted my creative process.
It has to though, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean?
So you are a well-known, well-respected, internationally acclaimed performance poet and writer.
Yep.
But recently we were talking about moving into creative facilitation and what that means, what that process looks like. Would you think parenting has partly to do with that shift, or is it just age, or is it a shift in priorities?
I've always facilitated. So I was a sports coach before I was a poet.
What sport?
So I did multi-sports. And I worked with a charity called Greenhouse Schools Project. We got trained up in college. It was part of an enrichment program.
Okay.
I've always been sporty. So my family, we did sports. That's what we did. So athletics and taekwondo and swimming and running and football and that's our, some people read books or go theatre. We did sport.
Yeah.
And so always loved sport, and then became a sports coach because you could get paid. So it was part of the enrichment program, and I was like, what? You can get trained up and get paid? That sounds great. And so did that, and then had this job as a sports coach, and we'd get our level 1s, and if we wanted to move on to level 2s and stuff like this, and over the summer holidays we'd do the sports camps for loads of kids to come, and so then I got into poetry, and when I started facilitating poetry, I really just lent on the training that I'd got from being a sports coach of writing a session plan, risk assessing, motivating, kind of how to choose different activities so that there's variety, safeguarding, all of these things were just already there because I've been trained. And so, and because I got into poetry through being facilitated, I just know the power and impact that can have on a person who doesn't think that there'll be anything. Do you know what I mean? I had no career prospects. I was just I had no idea what was happening. I didn't know what university was really for. Even though I went for a year, I didn't know what a seminar was. I was so baffled by everything, and didn't know what I was trying to become. And so it really changed my life, having this space. And so I've always been a firm advocate of facilitation is as important as being the person, if that makes sense. Because otherwise, what are you doing? Do you know, in my perspective, what are you doing? If you're not sharing those skills and passing them over, it's not for everyone, and I don't think everyone should be a facilitator. But I think sometimes part of the barrier to that is people don't know how to be, or they don't feel like they are the right person for it. And it feels taxing because of that. And so I've been setting up this program to train artists up in the skills to be able to facilitate their creative practice.
What does it teach the teacher?
Huh?
Teach the teacher.
Teach the teacher.
So you teach somebody to teach, and then they teach someone else to teach, and then they teach someone else to teach.
Well, I guess it's I don't teach because...
Well, facilitate.
Yeah, facilitate.
Facilitate the facilitator. Yeah. We're not going to call it teaching. We're officially not using that term based on what you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, I think teaching is something different, and I think there's a real for me it's way more formulaic and way more outcome driven.
What, teaching?
Teaching, whereas facilitation for me is you're creating a space of ease. You're creating an environment where people can discover something new about themselves. Yeah. And you've got this thing that you want to do at the end, let's write a poem or let's build towards a showcase. But really, what you're trying to do is just pull people.
I might
more
talk
out
to you a
of
bit more about
themselves.
that. I tend to be more of a teacher than a facilitator, but
Yeah.
I mean that's been my background as a teacher, and
Yeah.
that's been what I respond to as well.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I tend to drift.
I had a
things.
teacher on one of my online courses, and it was interesting that because it's like she's got such a high level of expertise in being able to hold space and being like super organized, but then how do you break that apart so she trusts the group more?
Yeah.
And like I remember having those conversations because the program was a weekender, and then they'd deliver their own session and then we'd evaluate.
But don't you think coaching is more like teaching in some ways than facilitating?
Coaching.
Because coaching, I mean, I hear what you're saying, but like, so I mean, my teaching background has both been in schools, but also in yoga.
Yeah.
And I find teaching yoga, because there's a safety element to it.
Yeah, you can't facilitate yoga.
You have to teach. You know, you have to be like, no, don't do that. That's gonna hurt you.
Well, no, but then someone like Adrian for Yoga with Adrian, she's like, find what feels good, which is kind of like a facilitation.
There's a
thing.
way to teach.
Yeah, so like
where
here's the pose, here's what you need to be considering.
There's there's more
But for
gentle ways
poetry,
of teaching.
I think so many people are put off poetry because they're taught it. They're told that's wrong and that's right, and it's like.
But that's nonsense.
Exactly.
I mean but that's painting. Painting is like that too. That's nonsense.
See you
Creativity
later.
has a way of emerging despite.
Yeah, but against the odds, which is why I think the value of creativity can sometimes.
But it shouldn't have to. And actually, it's not really a healthy relationship.
But
with
I kind
it
of think that's part of, you're talking about kind of how processes changed from becoming a parent and.
But you didn't
when
really answer that either.
No.
Do you still? How much are you writing as much as you used to? I'm curious.
No. I am in different ways, and this is what when you're talking about inspiration, and you sit on inspiration, but
I give it time.
like a whoopee cushion.
I give it time. I give it time and space to percolate.
Yeah, but
it's like when you've poured the coffee into the French press, and you give it those, that 5 minutes that it's supposed to have to get to its proper flavor.
Oh, is it? Okay.
It's not necessarily like shelved. It's
Is that
just.
what we're meant to do?
That's what it says in the past.
I think I've become much more okay with letting ideas go, but also actioning ideas, trying to action them and like scribble down a pitch or flesh them out as quickly as possible. Has been like what I've started doing more.
See, I'm the other way around. I have too many ideas, and I've actually been trying to be like, nope, not doing anything except the thing I said I'm going to do.
I'm not at that stage yet.
way getting
I've
into.
still got so many ideas.
No, so I still do, but like it's a huge discipline
I'm
for me.
trying to do them all.
See, for me, it's been like I'm like lightning focused, laser focused on just like I'm going to keep art it. I'm going to make it work, and I'm going to make it work
which is
in
what
these ways.
like. I'm always scolding myself because I'm like, D, you just need to focus on.
But you need to find the thing you want to do. That is the thing that you'll get paid to do. That is the thing that will inspire you. That is the it has to be the right fit. If it's not the right fit,
is that like even possible?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think
it's what is the Japanese word for ikigage, which is like the Japanese term for societal need, pays, and fulfills you spiritually. And then there's like a Venn diagram on the inside of it is your thing.
Oh, maybe I need to do that. That's what we should do.
I think it sounds like you're doing it though.
Yeah, I think
creative
so.
Facilitation, it turns you on.
Yeah.
It can pay.
Yeah.
And it's something that people value.
Yeah.
So it serves society. So it's got that, it ticks those 3 boxes.
I think part of me is just like, I would love to.
So if people want to find you and do creative facilitation, I'll put links up.
So you're actually trying to promote, and I'm just having a chat.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's part of this is about amplifying artists and what their process.
Pulled it under the title of Who Knows Poetry.
Who Knows Poetry.
Yeah, and I'm building a website. I've got like a genius idea, and I will say it's genius idea. That like we were just saying, like needs just a laser focus, and I just need to trust it. Do you know what I mean? I think more than anything, and I think as artists, that's what we have to do is trust.
It takes
our
huge
ideas.
fortitude, by the way. I'll tell you, it's scary as hell going into these things and not knowing what the outcome is going to be.
Yeah, and not knowing who we're going to be at the other end of it, I think is also like. And sometimes I'm like, oh my god, but what if it pulls me further away from creating weird things and poems and performing, and which is something that I freaking love doing.
Yeah.
And I think that's where I will sit on a project and be like, it's not like I've got it to the point where it can be, let's just sit on it until like I've got the network or the ideas or the time or the whatever it is or the knowledge or
sometimes it's the audience.
Age. Got a Ciara song running through my head. My body.
I don't even know who that is. I don't even know who Ciara.
This is what I mean, man.
I didn't grow up with Ciara. I'm American. I didn't grow up with this shit.
Ciara is American.
Who?
Let me see you want to step back.
Oh yeah, Sierra. Oh, Sierra.
Sierra.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, what's it called?
I say,
my milkshake brings all the...
No, that's Khalees.
Oh, sorry. Oh, I am not.
No, but
I am not hip. We were we were coming over here, and I was just explaining how
fine,
not
man.
hip I am.
But what's important, and like I had this incident the other day.
Oh, we're running long.
But about people know different things.
Yeah.
And like to not just write people off as being ignorant or whatever, they just know something else. Do you know what I mean? And like there should always be a curiosity as to what someone has to say or show for their understanding of this world. And so Sierra versus like, about I Ching, I don't know about I Ching. Do you know what I mean? Like, and there's a skills and knowledge exchange that can take place.
That's what
I'll send you some YouTube videos.
So I like to do 3 questions.
Okay.
Last time I was, I forgot what to do them with Miles, but first of all, if you could meet one person, past, present, or future, who would you want to meet?
Oh man, Mariah Carey, but I don't know what I'd say to her. I love her so much.
Mariah Carey?
I love her so much. I would just be
that was not the response I expected at all. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
Love her.
Perfect response. Mariah, this is Deanna.
She inspired me as a poet as well. Like her songwriting, and this was in one of my first articles that I ever had. Like I was like 18 or whatever, and I was going to represent the UK in France, and they were like, "Who are you inspired by?" I was like, Mariah Carey, her songwriting, and I've loved how she's really championed herself as this incredible songwriter. There's an amazing interview, like a 2-hour interview about her songwriting. So yeah, Mariah Carey.
Okay, Mariah Carey. And then if you could visit one place, where would that be?
Patagonia.
Patagonia.
And I'd want to go across to Antarctica.
Okay, that's 2 places.
Yeah, but
you rule, bro. You rebel, you.
2 birds, 1 stone. Do you know what I mean? You're already over there. You might as well just get a little boat over.
Why Patagonia?
Because it's the most southern tip of the world before you reach Antarctica.
The livable world.
And I just think it just feels like it's going to be outstanding. Do you know what I mean? Like
there has to be magic there.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like you can't even catch your breath. Like it's just so magic. And so I'd love to visit there. And I once got into a really funny conversation with someone on a plane from Zimbabwe, well, from Johannesburg, because you have to change. I was like sat in between these 2 guys, and I was like, well, we might as well make friends because like I've got to like ask you to go to the toilet at various points. And then got chatting to this one guy, both of them, but this one guy, and we bonded because we both wanted to go to Patagonia. And I was like, if you go, you should email me, and if I go, then email. Do you know what I mean?
That was partly how me and my wife bonded.
No
Just because
way.
we both wanted to go to Japan. First date, we were like, we just spent most of the time talking about how we both always wanted to go to Japan, which is how we ended up in Japan after many years. Anyway, a 3rd question.
Yeah.
I think I might already know the answer to this based off a previous question, but favorite band or musician? Okay, second favorite. Favorite band then. Favorite band. I'll give you an out so that it doesn't. But Mariah, shout out Mariah Carey.
Favorite band? Oh man, so like I'm one of those people that likes a lot of different. Like my play. If you put my thing on shuffle, you'd be like, whoa, this is wild.
You are really dancing around this question.
Like,
giving yourself time to think.
Yeah, I do need time to think because I'll say something and I'll walk away and be like, really? Is that your favourite band?
I know the feeling.
Like I've got like a favourite, like one of my favourite albums is Amanda Palmer and the Theatre Orchestra. I can't remember, but it's got not the Killing Type one, and I freaking love it. And it's got Trout Heart Replica on it, and it's just I love it.
Who was it?
Amanda Palmer and
the band that she's in.
No, it was Yeah.
Amanda
Oh
Palmer.
man, I really
Well-
want my phone. But that's just an album. Band.
Don't worry about it.
I don't know, man. So Solid Crew, are they a band?
I don't even know what that is.
I don't know. All of them. Anyone who can collaborate with other people is my favourite.
And on that note, speaking of collaboration, thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you.
on the show. It's been really lovely to have
I'm
you
mad.
here.
It's just like love chatting to you. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, this has been a long time coming.
Yeah.
This is Deanna Rodger. We'll have links to all of her socials
Sure.
underneath in the description. We'll have links to the Who Knows Poetry.
Yeah.
We'll start, once that is announced officially, we'll put links up to that in our chats and try to promote it as well so you can stay followed. If you like this kind of content, we've got lots of cool interviews with other poets as well. You can check out the one with Miles Chambers, the one with Helen Shepard, and Danny Pandolfi, who's been on here, Crafty. If you want to support Keep Ardit and you like what we're doing, realistically, subscribing to the channel is a meaningful thing. It's important. If you like, please leave a comment about who you'd like us to interview next. And if you really want to go in deep, you can go on the website, buy a painting. That's
Not
all.
these though. 'Cause
These are already sold to this person. I didn't realize that until, that happened, but that happened. So, but you can go look on the website. There's lots of great art there. We really believe in championing the joy of human creativity and amplifying artist culture. And so part of that is giving artists a voice and a platform to speak and share. So thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Doug Carson. This is Deanna Rodger. This is Keep Ardit, and that's exactly what you should do. It's the thing.
Great.
That's the thing.
That's great. No, it's great. It's smooth. You're really good at it.
Practiced,
Hey guys, thanks so much for tuning into that brief chat we had about art in the art world. Now, we are passionate about art, but we also need to make money. So if you want to support Keep Ardit so that we can keep delivering the kind of content that you see on our channel, please go check out our website. We've got lots of cool art-specific items such as t-shirts, jumpers, hats, notebooks, all that kind of cool stuff. It's all for sale. It's all environmentally sustainable. If you want to go a little bit deeper, you can check out some of the art pages we have from artists like myself, Jenny Brock, Francis Bildner. There's a fine selection of work there that we like to share. If you want to buy something because it catches your fancy, there's nothing that makes us happier than seeing artwork go to a new home. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Doug. This is Keep Ardit, and that is exactly what you should do.